Hi, I'm Rick Conlow. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to talk to you about rethink leadership or fail. Abigail Adams wrote to Thomas Jefferson in 1790, "These are hard times in which a genius would wish to live. Great necessities call forth great leaders." We're in those same kind of times. And you know, my focus is in business management consulting. And we help companies bring out the best in others. We're kind of the coach's coach. But I'm going to bring you a story about how we maybe need to change our leadership models because they're not working dealing with the problems we face. So I'll share a few world examples and then tie it into business. So for example, on the world stage, we wake up any morning and hear about new wars, new conflicts, more terrorism that we're constantly being faced with. And leaders worldwide are grappling in business, government, and religion how to deal with this. And then we have environmental issues that continue to face us, from hurricanes and tornadoes and wildfires to the impact of emissions on the environment to, it just happens time and time again. Global warming, what's going to happen with the world as a result of that? Affecting, yes, governments, business, religions, everybody. Let alone the impact on people with plagues and viruses. We had the Ebola virus here recently. Thousands of people in many nations affected, trying to handle that issue. Unprecedented. Drugs and the proliferation across the globe. And overpopulation, trying to find people homes, building economies so they have a livelihood, an income, so they can live a life above poverty. We have 2 billion people in poverty. Serious issues. And we need a change in leadership to work with it, because the truth of the matter is our leadership models aren't getting there. Because the problems escalate. They're not getting better. Al Gore said this: as human beings, we are vulnerable to confusing the unprecedented with the improbable. In everyday experience, if something has never happened before, we generally are safe in assuming that it's not going to happen in the future. But the exceptions can kill you. And climate change is one of these exceptions. Serious issue in climate change. Mahatma Gandhi said, "An eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind." And Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" And we don't tend to see that in leadership today. In fact, in business, at least, in government, while in religion, we've seen some unprecedented leadership failures in the media. It's like almost every day. Not only in the U.S., but worldwide, we see leaders fall from grace because they're more focused about what they need and not the needs of others. And I'm not going to go through all the examples that have come across here because they're ad nauseum. But here's what we tend to see in leadership today. They're self-focused. They want to take power for their own personal recognition and advancement. They want to control and manipulate people for their own selfish means and agenda. And they strive to be served by others to gain what they want, not what is needed or wanted by others. And I believe this is some of the roots of why some of these world issues that we face continue to escalate. Because selfishness drives too many in leaders. Now I realize there are some great leaders, and I shared a couple examples with quotes here just a minute ago, but there's too many on the other side. And so we don't get the results that we need. In business, we see everyday management failures because of this selfishness and self-focus, poor execution, abuse, sexual harassment, poor listening, deceit, dishonesty, pilfering the company's checkbook time and time again, miscommunication, treating employees like useless commodities as opposed to engaging them as partners. That's what happens in business too often. And it costs billions of dollars, as this graph shows. Billions of dollars that companies could use to create more jobs and improve the economy. It just happens time and time again and tends not to get better. In fact, I created what I call the CEO Balance Scorecard. And it's why many CEOs, I believe, should be fired or reprimanded. For example, in a survey of the workplace, it found that half employees lack trust in senior management. Management derailment studies show that 50 to 67% of leaders in business fail primarily because of the lack of people skills. In the Pew research, they found that 70% of people don't see the value of CEOs, and they don't understand why they're doing what they're doing or what their contribution is. Worldwide, according to Gallup surveys, 87% of employees in businesses are disengaged. They don't want to be there. They're only showing up to get the paycheck. They're not happy about it. CEO pay worldwide has grown astronomically to nearly 400 times greater than the average employee. Think about that. 400 times greater. Peter Drucker, one of the most famous management consultants of all time, said it should be 20 times greater, no more. And it's nearly 400 times today. And the American Customer Satisfaction Index, that studies customer service on 270 plus companies, has found in the last 21 years, the customer service has only improved, get this now, 1.4 points. That's 1.9%. Now these are the balanced scorecard metrics for CEOs. What grade would you give them? Would you give them an A? How about a B? How about a C? You know what? Most of them are failing because that's the state of the workplace. It doesn't bring out the best in people. We need a change. Now you know what? There's a clue in what we need to change. If you look at leaders who did things differently and better and captured the hearts and minds of people, we can learn some key lessons. That's different than the self-focused leadership I mentioned to you earlier. Dr. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Albert Schweitzer, Abraham Lincoln, Jesus. They led differently. And we need the same kind of leadership. What did they do? Well, John F. Kennedy kind of gave a quote that gives us a clue to what they were doing. He said, tolerance implies no lack of commitment to one's own belief. Rather, it condemns the oppression and persecution of others. In other words, it's focused more on the needs of other people, is what Kennedy is saying. And Mother Teresa said, if we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to one another. That's often what happens in companies. The leadership tends to think it's for their use, their growth, their success, their pocketbook, their paycheck. Leadership is not about the paycheck. It's about the people. And Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Herein are some of the clues. What are they talking about? They're talking about caring for people and their needs. They're talking about treating people with dignity and respect. They're talking about creating environments in the workplaces, let alone through the governments, giving people hope for a good life today and a better future. They're talking about love for their fellow human beings and other people. Yes, even in business. See, the rethink on the leadership we need to have today is to be more other-focused, not self-focused. Empower people to be all they can be by treating them with that respect and dignity. Free them up to use their own capabilities and talents to the fullest. And when they do that, they can accomplish almost anything, solve almost any problem. Because the truth it is, human progress is marvelous when you look at it, the inventions and the ingenuity of people. But our problems are outpacing our ingenuity because of the selfishness of many leaders. And other-focused leadership is to serve others, to give people hope, opportunity, and security. If we had that more in business today, let alone in governments. See, I believe people want to be great. And if they aren't, the leaders are the obstacle. It's the leader's job to bring out the best in people. And with a change in our thinking about what we do, we will not fail. We will succeed. We'll have employees like in these pictures here that are excited, that are motivated, that go the extra mile because they want to, not because they have to, not because somebody put their thumb on them and said, get it done or you're fired. That doesn't work. That's dinosaur thinking. We need technological advancement in our leadership thinking, and it moves from self-focus to other-focus. And when we do that, these problems we have in the world stage can be solved. These concepts and ideas come from our book. My business partner, Doug Watsaba, and I wrote Superstar Leadership and our Superstar Leadership Model. I have this dream that soars on golden wings. I visualize your achievements and your legacy that sings. I do not know all about your persistent efforts to raise the bar. I only know that you're the best, a superstar. Thanks for coming.